Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I would like to dig a bit deeper into some serious stuff. We've done quite a few fun videos over the last couple of weeks. It's time to get more serious, at least for a bit. Today I would like to talk about chord construction and how you can find new chords, new voicing for the chords that you already know. I often tell my students that there's only a little bit of information that you need to know, and everything else you can work out by looking at what you're doing on the fretboard and thinking. The things you need to know is how a chord is constructed, how a scale is constructed, and where the notes are on your fingerboard. All the chords are derived from just a few shapes. Today we are going to focus on one shape and then look at what we can do with everything that comes from that shape. The shape is A shape in a bar chord. So this is C. And what you need to know for this lesson is that this is the root, this is the fifth, this is the root again, and this is the third. So if you want a major 7 chord, all we need to do is lower this second root, half step, and then it becomes a 7th. 7 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Major 7 chord, and I think everybody will know this. Voicing. Let's go back to the original one. Let's make it into a dominant 7. Then we have to lower the root 2 half steps to create a flattened 7, the dominant 7. Let's make it into a minor 7. We take our third, lower it 1 half step to make it a minor third. Minor 7. Let's make it into a flat 5. Let's lower the 5th. And I think everybody's familiar with this shape. It's the same thing as what I did before. I just use different fingers to make it easier on my left hand. We're going to use this chord because it's very typical that a lot of people know only 2 positions to play that chord, or 2 shapes. So that's why we're going to work with this to give you straight away quite a few more options than the ones you may already know. Now, a C half diminished is C, G flat, B flat, E flat. So there's a lot of alterations to the standard note names. G flat, B flat and E flat. If you move this down 1 half step, all the note names become standard. It's a 7th chord in C major, and it uses notes from the C major scale, so therefore all the note names are just plain. So B, F, E and D. That makes it easier to talk about the notes that we're going to find on the fretboard later, instead of using E flat, B flat and G flat. So let's use B half diminished as our working chord for this lesson. So it's a root. In this voicing, it's a flat 5th, it's a minor 7th and a minor 3rd. Most people know this shape and this shape. Yeah, if we only memorize shapes, it gets difficult to get out of those shapes that we know, so to find something new. So here's an idea, here's a suggestion on how to look at these things. This shape only uses the middle 4 strings. It starts on the root, and then it uses the other notes to build the chord. Now let's move the bass note from the root to the 3rd. So the B becomes a D. That is the 3rd. Let's look at the next note. That's an F. That was our flat 5th. The 5 goes to the 7. So this F goes to the 7, which is an A. So we need a D and an A. Then we have A, which is a flat 7. That needs needs to go one step up in the chord ladder, and then it becomes a B. So we have D, A, B. Then we have this D. That was the third. That needs to go up to the flat fifth, which is an F. So if we move the chord to the new notes, we have the third, the seventh, the root, and F, the flat fifth. And this is our new voicing for the same chord. We're using the same notes, we just moved every note up one step in the chord ladder, the construction of the chord. So the root becomes the third becomes the fifth becomes the seventh, and the seventh becomes the root, excuse me. So we moved everything up and we end up here. Straight away you can hear this is a totally different feel to the chord. This is a very closed feel, and this is a very open. So now we've moved the root to the third. Now let's move the third to the fifth. So we keep repeating the same process. The third becomes the fifth, the flat fifth, sorry, which is an F. The seventh becomes a 1, the root. And we keep doing that, moving every note up one step in the ladder of the chord. And then we get this voicing. So now we have the root in the bass, the third in the bass, the fifth in the bass. Now let's put the seventh in the bass. So these are all the same chords, just different voicings. There's nothing that we have to memorize, we just have to know the process. And then later you can memorize the shapes, but you can always relate back to where they came from. So it's not like something new out of the blue, it is something that we've constructed. Okay, here's a sheet with these 4 voicings. So you see, and I'll just bring it up on my computer as well. First voicing, second, third, and the last one. But that's only for the middle 4 strings. We have 6 strings. So now let's look, for example, at the top 4 strings. And we can do the same process. Now, you may or you may not know a few shapes of the half diminished chord on the top 4 strings. Let's find the one with the root in the bass. So this is exactly the same as this, just 1 octave higher. And why is it not exactly the same fingering? Because we have that annoying B string here that shifts everything 1/2 step down. But these are the same notes as these. So we can do the same process. We moved from this one to that one before. Let's do the same thing here. So we go from that shape and we move it up. We move every note 1 step up in the ladder. I'm not going to repeat everything I've done before. You just have to trust me on that one or figure it out. So this is with the root in the bass. This is with a third in the bass. We could keep going up with the fifth in the bass, which is the same as this, only an octave higher. And then with the seventh in the bass. Here's the PDF for the voicings on the top 4 strings. So now we have 8 voicings for the same chord. The idea is that if you like a particular voicing, every time you play a standard and there's a half diminished chord, you use one of the new voicings to play that chord and not just refer to your standard voicings that you've been playing for years and years. Use the new ones, and after a while they will become second nature, and then it's in your repertoire. Since we're on the guitar and we have two more bass strings, we can move the top note to the lower string and it will be on the same fret because it's the same note. It's an E and there's an E. So if we bring this E from the higher string to the lower string, we open our frequency spectrum quite a bit. This is much more round and full than. It just depends on what situation you are playing in the band or solo. For this voicing, with the 7 in the bass before, we now put the B back in the bass, and this is the voicing that you probably already know. So which is the same as this one, we just moved the high E to the lowest string, so 2 octaves down. So if you look at this voicing, and we bring this E to the lowest string, we get this. Same for this voicing. Let's bring this F down, and this voicing, let's bring this A to that string, and we get this. So now we have another 4 voicings for the half diminished chord. So this one with the 7 in the bass on the lowest string, this one with the root in the bass on the lowest string, this one with the 3rd in the bass, and this one with the flat 5th in the bass. So that is 12 voicings, 12 shapes for the same half diminished chord. You can do this with every chord, of course. Look at your shape, know how the chord is built, like minor 3rd, flat 5, flat 7, the construction of the chord. Look at your fingers and move every note 1 step up on the chordal ladder, or down if you go down on your fretboard. It will give you some interesting chords that you may never have played before. But the good thing is that you can always relate to the information that you already know. This is not something new, it's just a process. Well guys, that might have been a lot of information in this 15 to 20 minutes. I hope you find it useful, and I will see you next time. Enjoy. Bye bye.